Jen. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Very excited to do year 2 of this. Lots of fun.
Yes.
Lots has changed since last year. I guess we could start off with just the fact that the bus is here. The truck is here.
The bus is here. In
fact,
fact,
last year it was still getting created, but now it's in the flesh.
that's right. Yeah, we hadn't yet debuted the bus that was actually in production last time we met. Now, not only is it here, we drove 1,300 miles from the heart of Texas to San Diego to have it on display here, but it's actually in use. We have it for healthy donor leukopak collections today, and we're talking very, very soon about getting the first patients collected on board. So stay tuned for anyone watching what's going on with the bus and traveling. It's going to be traveling to some patients soon, and I'm very excited about that.
Excellent. Yeah, I was talking to a member of your team earlier, and he was saying it gets to about 65. You can get up to about 65, and it doesn't go beyond that. But it's a pretty cool bus. Excellent. So yeah, I guess we can back up here a little bit, right? What's the challenge inside of collecting patient blood and patient cells right now?
So really, it is proximity to care. I mean, and also a donor base. You've got we'll start with the allogeneic side. You've got plenty of people who might be willing to give blood on a routine basis. That only takes an hour.
Right.
But you think about a leukopak collection that might take 4 hours. It's a little bit more of a time commitment, and the logistics are different too. The capabilities that you need to have in order to collect a leukopak are pretty specific, unique, and so getting to more donors and donors willing to take the time in a place that's comfortable and convenient to them is really important, because you can imagine traveling to a donor center takes an hour, and then 4 hours, you're talking about a full day. So donor accessibility is one thing that is a challenge that we're working on. And then patient accessibility, we all know that the number of authorized treatment centers is only in the 200s around the world, and most of them are focused on hemo-oncology, not on solid tumors, autoimmune, and then you think about the gene therapies, which are available from a collection of CD34 cells, like sickle cell disease. The challenge to patients and accessing patients is the travel involved to get to those authorized treatment center and all the logistics involved. So by creating an option where they can board a bus in their community, have those cells collected on the first part of their journey, and then hopefully an authorized treatment center can be readily accessible in their community, because that treatment center need not have to have that beginning step taken care of. It just needs to deliver the drug product like a traditional drug product would be.
Right. So yeah, I would be interested to get your thoughts on how can you use access innovation to really help serve this next generation of cell therapies and blood-derived therapies.
Yeah, so going back to the fact that historically these therapies have only been in certain hospitals, those hospitals with certain specialties. We're moving beyond those specialties, and with that, as it's an increasingly important question. How do we move it into more treatment centers that don't just serve hemo-oncology?
Right.
And even hemo-oncology is underserved today, if only 70% of the patients or less who are eligible get access today. So, I think we really worry about the number of patients who are eligible for these therapies and the range of diseases they can treat increasing, but the ratio of people they're treating, people we're treating as an industry, is actually decreasing.
Gotcha.
So we really need to think about that as we get into the next generation therapies. And it even is true for in vivo. In vivo therapies, while there's not the cells to be collected, the experience of practitioners and local clinicians to support these kinds of therapies, in vivo included, needs to increase. So it really addresses a number of challenges that we're facing today with regard to expanding access.
Right. And then how would you see something like this mobile leukapheresis unit being able to inform clinical trial design in the future?
Well, the clinical trial design, I think that's one of the most underutilized opportunities we have today. We have hubs of academic medical centers and research hospitals with profound levels of experience in this, but the reach out to the communities requires a hub and spoke model. And when we think about that hub and spoke model, maybe the community hospitals, community clinicians don't have access to some of the same sophisticated tools that are available in the authorized treatment centers that could serve as a hub.
Right.
But out in the community, they can do a blood transfusion, they can do follow-up care, and effectively the tactical requirements of delivering these therapies downstream is not different than what a community center can accomplish in a regular blood transfusion and any other drug that might have some acute adverse reactions that could arise. So it is a matter of really bringing clinical trials to more communities through a hub and spoke model first. That's going to allow knowledge to spread to clinicians who are treating patients in those communities. That's hugely important to the commercial setting too. Yeah. And in terms of diversity and inclusion in clinical trials, in our region, 80% of the population in some areas of South Texas are Hispanic and Latino, yet only 2 to 5% of the oncology clinical trial subjects are Hispanic or Latino nationally. So it's a significant disproportionate diversity equation that we need to fix as an industry, and a hub and spoke model has the opportunity to do that, and equipment like we have with the Mobile Leukapheresis Center can certainly support that kind of model.
Gotcha. So that being said, you guys aren't just stopping with a mobile leukapheresis unit. Yes. Tell me more about Releasate.
Yes, so our organization does a lot of things that are related to access. And it's not just access for patients, but it's access to critical materials needed for the production of these cell therapies and the successful proliferation of cells. We do serve, a lot of people know us for the bus, and I'm so glad and grateful for the community support around that initiative because it's so important. But as an organization, we also collect routine blood products, and those blood products are often very useful for creation of things we use in reagents and media in this field, such as platelet releasate, in this case that I'm going to talk about, which is an alternative to lysate. Nice. So many people use lysate for the cytokines and growth factors in lysate to help proliferate cells and expand those cells in production of all kinds of cell therapies. But the challenge with lysate is that by the nature of how lysate is produced, it lyses the cells. So platelets, including all the debris from platelets, end up in the final product. Right. And it can create characterization challenges and variables in the performance of the product. So our research and development team developed the first of its kind, Releasate, and just like its name implies, it doesn't destroy the platelets and actually allows the platelets to biologically release those cytokines and growth factors, so there's no platelet debris in the product at all. Releasate is a pure, unadulterated product of growth factors and cytokines essential for the formulation of these drug products downstream. So that's another way we're bringing access. And we're doing that so that those cells can be expanded with high efficiency, which ultimately drives down the cost of production.
Fantastic. So I guess to finish off, right, with regards, I think it would be interesting to end on the note of like cross collaboration, right? Yeah. How do you see this best being used to kind of tackle some of the systemic barriers we've got in the space?
Well, I think we all have to take a look at our services and our programs, the cost of delivery, the mechanism of how we're reaching more patients, and really dig deep, because we're at a point. I've been around in the industry, adjacent to the industry, for 25, almost 30 years. And we're still dealing with some of the same challenges that we did 25, 30 years ago. Right. That shouldn't be the case. Yeah. It doesn't happen by any one entity alone. Our capability of providing a bus is just part of the equation. Right. But in terms of care coordination, education for physicians, how these therapies are manufactured, produced at scale, and where they need to, that takes a village, and it takes collaboration from all over the ecosystem to achieve. So when it comes down to it, we all have a part to play in the development of these therapies and also the reach that they have to the communities. And it went to a program a few years ago at HBS called the Young American Leaders Program, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a detour on that because it goes back to this cross-sector collaboration. It was about understanding how things that were big ideas got implemented around the world. And it didn't happen by one organization, by one genius. It happened because different parts of the community came together and said, let's figure this out together. It was a cross-sector collaboration for-profits, non-profits, government, working together that would transform opportunities for people. And you can take notice of any of the transformative things that have occurred over the past hundreds of years, and it really did take multiple groups coming together from their different stakeholders and committing to a change, and that's what we need right now in the industry.
Agreed. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Adrienne, and looking forward to seeing the next bus beyond the one that you guys have already.
Thank you so much. Thanks. It's always a pleasure, Ben.